I think we have a couple participants joining. Welcome, everyone. We're just going to wait another minute or so to let everyone arrive, and then we'll get started. So welcome to the session. For those of you joining, welcome to this session. We're just going to wait a minute or so for the rest of the group to join, and then we'll get started. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started since we have a very, very packed agenda today. So good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Welcome to our session and belated Happy World Water Day. In celebration of World Water Day, International Women's Day, which was earlier this month, and the UN Water Conference, the 100+ Accelerator team, along with our partners at Graham & Walker, have put together a dynamic session featuring some of the most impressive, fantastic women-founded companies and startups within the 100+ Accelerator focusing on water. The challenges around water are absolutely critical and getting worse. And the amazing women on this call have dedicated their lives and their livelihoods to finding solutions to those critical issues that we see in the market, implementing them, and then scaling them to make impact. We are so thrilled to have them all as a part of the 100+ Accelerator program. As a quick background, the 100+ Accelerator was founded as an open innovation program to help find solutions to critical supply chain challenges that we are facing as large corporates. So it was started by AB InBev, the world's largest brewer. And then we added 3 corporate partners, Colgate and Unilever, to co-found this program with us, to co-fund it, to sponsor it together, to identify those challenges together, the startups, pilot them within our own supply chains, and then scale them to make impact, and really use the collective action of the 4 companies and our structural advantage to make very fast and impactful change across global supply chains. So we are so lucky to have 5 of those startup founders on the call with us today to talk about their solutions. But before that, we have 2 absolutely dynamite speakers who are going to talk to us about sanitation, as well as climate and water. And so to introduce our first amazing speaker, I will turn it over to Daniela Varone. Thank you so much for joining us again, and we really hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you very much, Macy, for the opening remarks. So I have now the pleasure of introducing, as Macy said, our inspiring keynote speakers for today, who will be talking about how to break gender and water barriers from 2 different angles. We will start with Maria Clara Vanegas, who will be speaking on feminine hygiene products and sanitation in schools. And then we will move on to Eleanor Allen, who will be speaking on how to mitigate the climate and water crisis from a gender perspective. After their presentations, we will have some space for a couple of questions from the audience before we move to our panel with our 100 Plus Accelerator women founders from our cohort for water stewardship startups, which will be moderated by Graham and Walker. So with that, I would like to welcome Maria Clara Vanegas. Maria Clara is a Colombian feminist and environmental engineer with a master's in urban water and sanitation from the UNESCO Delft Institute for Water Education. With over 8 years of experience, she has worked on large-scale water infrastructure projects in Colombia, Ecuador, and the United States, specializing in decentralized sanitation. She has also been an active lecturer for over 3 years and has actually created a course on closing the gap of water and gender, which aims to address intersectional challenges in WASH and gender inequality. Currently, she is an independent consultant in sustainability, circular economy, and water engineering. And Maria Clara, welcome. The floor is yours.
Daniela, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Sharing my screen in order for you to see the slides. Just let me know once you have visibility.
We can see your screen. Perfect.
Thank you. Okay, so as Daniela said, I'm going to give it a feminine hygiene products and sanitation in schools perspective. Quickly going to talk about sustainable development goals, which I'm pretty sure several people in the audience are familiar with. SDG number 5, gender equality, and SDG 6, clean water and sanitation. We're briefly going to talk about the water and gender gap and menstruation, sanitation, and schools, a very taboo topic that needs more and more visibility. So having taken on the Sustainable Development Goals, these are 17 different goals that the United Nations adopted in 2015 with 3 main focuses, which are the environmental protection, social equity, and economic growth. Talking here on gender equality, clean water and sanitation, that we also like to call water sanitation and hygiene, WASH, as Daniela introduced. So very quickly, going on the targets of gender equality goal. Of course, we want to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. On this perspective, we're having a binary perspective as women and men, but we would like to reach no discrimination, reduce or avoid violence at all. Child forced marriage is very important right now and provide like equal rights, participation, and empowerment for women. And I bring you like 3 different perspectives that I was able to get from the United Nations ASDGs report from last year. And if we continue at this pace in reducing gender equality, it will take us 286 years to remove discriminatory laws and close prevailing gaps in legal protection for women and girls, mainly due to the reason that women in several countries are not allowed to inherit from their parents or their grandparents or own land, which is one of the main issues right now. Also talking about the glass ceiling, we're talking about that 1 in every 3 managers or supervisors in companies is a woman. And regarding participation, 26.4% of parliamentary seats are occupied by women right now. Regarding the clean water and sanitation perspective, these were the last statistics that were brought up in this same report of last year. If we continue at current rates in 2030, we're going to have 1.6 billion people with lack safely managed drinking water, and 2.8 billion people will lack safely managed sanitation. One of the major challenges that we're having in the WASH sector is trying to convey the message that sanitation is equally as important as providing safe and clean drinking water. We will also lack 1.9 billion people will also lack basic hand hygiene facilities. So going into the topic of water and gender, I bring this particular image that I recently took from the United Nations on a LinkedIn post they make, and is basically the challenge that we have for girls or women to either have to fetch water or go to school. Women and girls are responsible for water collection in 8 out of 10 households with water off premises. The average that has been calculated is that it will take 30 minutes. It takes 30 minutes for a girl or a woman to go fetch for water, but I have examples that takes longer than that. It can even take 1 hour or even more. Particularly in my home country in Guajira, they can even reach a 10-kilometer distance round trip, which certainly will take more than an hour, close to 2 hours. By fetching water, girls skip class or drop out of school, and women are not available for other activities such as care, paid labor, or leisure. And without in-house sanitation facilities, women and girls are prone to abuse and assault when trying to reach a toilet. More specifically, the topic that I bring here is menstruation, sanitation, and schools, topic that we need to be more visible about, taking into account that more than half of the population will menstruate, or did menstruate in the past. So in sub-Saharan Africa, 1 out of 10 girls missed school while on their periods. Another example is in Ethiopia, 50% of girls miss between 1 and 4 days of school every month due to menstruation. And in Kenya, it is estimated that girls lose an average of 4 days of school a month, which costs them 165 learning days over 4 years of high school. So just portray yourself graduating from high school and having your peers, boys or men, and having half a year of less scholarity just because you're having your period. Sounds crazy. What are the main reasons? There is bullying going on, mocking of girls while on their periods. Most importantly, there is a lack of feminine hygiene products. There are girls that don't have access to sanitary pads, menstruating cups, or absorbent panties. And as well as important, no access to an adequate and safe toilet or sanitation facilities, a facility that is lockable, a facility that is clean in order for you to have your private moment when changing your pad or going to the toilet, mainly. So what are the main takeaways on this short speech? Very important to understand that will reduce gender inequality. Involving women in the planning, decision-making, and governance of WASH services and projects is very important, and it will certainly pay off. And we need more women innovating in water-related issues as the ones that we're going to see and talk with at later stages. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Maria Clara, very much for the very insightful presentation. We will now move on to Eleanor. We will now have the pleasure of listening to Eleanor. Eleanor is the lead executive of B Lab Global, leading the network of organizations behind the B Corp movement. Eleanor is a member of the National Academy of Engineering and a distinguished alumna of the University of California at Berkeley. Eleanor has been honored with the Schwab Award for Social Entrepreneurship, the Denver Outstanding Woman in Business, a Top 10 Influential Woman of Water Award, and a 2017 Water Environment Federation Fellow. It's an honor to have you here, Eleanor. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone, and excited to be here. Let me share my screen. Okay, let me get to the right thing here. All right. So following Maria Clara, I'm going to talk about water and gender, and I'm going to focus a bit on climate. So what I wanted to share with you first was a little bit about my water journey. So I'm at B Lab today, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but really my whole life has been water until I joined B Lab in last June. So I was a water volunteer in the Dominican Republic in Peace Corps, worked for 2 big engineering firms. I'm also an engineer like Maria Clara. My specialty was wastewater treatment, urban. And then I ran water for people for 7 years, which we really focused on a lot of what Maria Clara was talking about, really rural areas, first time service of water and basic sanitation. So looking at Water for People, I'm still on the board, still very much part of a passionate place for me. So Water for People is really focused on a world where every person has access to reliable, safe water and sanitation. So what that means is all the things we have already been talking about, but specifically I wanted to also mention the climate emergency, because most climate issues are water related. So this is of course becoming more and more frequent as we see things happening, and really affects especially vulnerable communities in low and middle income countries. Too much water, too much contamination, too little water, all these things that we all know about. And then of course, water rights are human rights. And we talk about walking for water, looking for toilets, being safe, not being raped, having a place to go if you have your period. These are all things that profoundly affect women and girls. And so some more data that, like Maria Clara shared, is about the time to walk to fetch water, find a toilet, missing school, and then also, of course, mortality, infant mortality because of lack of clean water and sanitation. And when we look at some of the things in the news today, there's things happening. Women are gathering collective action about toilets. First one's about toilets in India, water insecurity, gender equity about with the SDGs in the Harvard Business Review. So all these things are coming more and more into the forefront, which is great, to the mainstream. So it's not just our water world, it's really people getting to know what's happening. And at Water for People, we do a lot of work in education as well, and advocacy about menstrual hygiene. The second one is an article I wrote a few years ago about getting women engaged in community planning in rural communities. So they know best water sources, which ones are disappearing, which ones are not, how to do work in their communities. So getting them in leadership roles. And then the last one is what a story I wanted to particularly mention today is about this getting young girls involved in not only the water issues affecting them in their day-to-day, but learning skills. So this is a really cool program that we ran through our India program in Water for People. 14 girls got a scholarship to learn video skills and video journalism about the water issues in their community. This is a really rural community in the Kasharpur village in Chikandara, Amravati district in Maharashtra. So not only did they tell the story that they lived, but they got to learn new skills. So really also bringing this to a really rural community is something about it giving opportunities for these girls, which I found really motivating. All about the SDGs, again, we've already seen this, but specifically some things we like to link to is about economic growth in communities as well when there are good water services, the resilient infrastructure, then building sustainable communities, of course, climate action is a lot what I'm mentioning today, and then partnerships to increase the pace of change and the work that still needs to be done. So I'm switching now over from Water for People to B-Lab. So B-Lab, we are an organization that holds a standard for sustainable business. One thing we also do is we've partnered with the UN. We have an SDG action manager. So businesses, now I'm on the business side, can track their own actions along with the SDGs and how they're doing. It's a really great tool. You can look at it on the website. And it was a great connection to the SDGs for this talk. And really, again, what we do, our mission at B-Lab is about moving away from businesses just making shareholders rich. This is about businesses taking responsibility for their impact and taking into account all their stakeholders, their employees, the communities where they work, the environment, and their customers. So it's about creating an inclusive, equitable, and regenerative economic system for all planet and people, for our people and the planet. So when I was looking for a new role, this really resonated with me because of my deep purpose in improving the quality of life for people and the planet. And then it was a great combination of business, also with my nonprofit background from Water for People. So this is a quick snapshot of how businesses become certified. If you haven't heard of a B Corp, it's a very detailed questionnaire. You have to answer questions up to 200 points in these areas. These are all the stakeholders we look into. And then if you get 80 points, you become a certified B Corp. So what really resonates for me right now is this environment part. And we're looking at bringing, protecting the mission of the companies. Patagonia is one of our ones that a lot of people know. So really changing the mission and purpose of the company. And then specifically, we're revising our standards right now. What I want to mention today was the climate bar is raising. So really looking at companies that take responsibility for achieving net zero carbon by 2050. So this is pretty exciting. And we have a lot of other requirements coming up for new standards, but I specifically wanted to mention climate. And then lastly, which is also really cool, appropriate for today with our entrepreneurs, we have a group of women CEOs that are certified B corporations that have another part of our movement building, not only changing the economic system, but bringing women entrepreneurs and CEOs into this change. And it's called We the Change. So just wanted to note for the next panelists that this is something you could consider. And I'll end right there. Thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. That was truly inspiring, and I hope that our cohort 4 women founders have taken note, as well as any other people from the audience that might be interested. We now have 5 minutes to answer some of the questions that the audience has dropped in the chat. We'll just take a couple of ones for timing reasons, but to the audience, just remember that you can still drop your questions for Maria Clara and Eleanor in the Q&A tab, and they will be able to answer to you directly throughout the rest of the session. So we will start with a question for Maria Clara. I will read it out loud. Thank you for the talk, Maria Clara. For what I've seen in your speech, it seems like the biggest challenge is in developing countries, where the gender difference is immense. Are there any big differences regarding gender and water in the first world countries? What are your thoughts on this? And Eleanor, I think you can also chip in if you want after Maria Clara on this one.
Yes, there is evidence that there is a gap also in developed countries, sorry. And one, I didn't have the time to talk about it specifically, but the water sector, like engineering, where Eleanor and I have been able to work, is a male-dominated sector. And I'll say, I don't know, Eleanor, what's your case, but in my case, it's less than 10% of women that participate, 10 to 15% of women that participate on meetings with large-scale projects, financed by the World Bank, financed by IDB, and within the engineering industry and in water-related sector, we're having that. And it's very important to involve women in the planning process, implementation, control, operation, because that's a way in which you will be able to reach more perspective, a second view, a feminine view, and make it more equal.
I'm totally with you, Maria Clara. It's also been my experience. And one opportunity that I've always felt at Water for People, starting really from the beginning, is getting women into the decision-making roles in the beginning, and then it doesn't become this gender imbalance. And so that's something we've been working hard with the water committees and the water users associations, et cetera, specifically in low-income countries, so that they'll end up like how we've been in our careers.
Thank you, Eleanor. I'll move on to a question for you. How do you prioritize which communities you do pilots or programs with?
Yeah, for I'm assuming this is Water for People where we work. So typically where we work, if we're in a country, we always get more requests to do the work than we can handle. So we work with national governments. They'll say, we need help in these 5 or 10 districts, and then we will take usually 3 to 5 districts. We'll do a feasibility study, and this takes about a year. So it looks at, what is the political will, what is the current status of service, what is the leadership like in that area, what are the risks, and then we'll go from usually 5 to 3 down to one final one. And we just entered a new country, and we did the same analysis at a country level for Tanzania. And then we went and worked and figured out the district. So we do a district-wide approach. It takes many years, but we do take on a whole district at a time.
Thank you so much. I see we still have some questions in the chat. So Maria Clara and Eleanor, feel free to answer them as you see fit. But we will now move on to our panel just because of time reasons. And for that, I would like to welcome our panel moderator, Divya Kakat. She's General Manager of Platform at Graham & Walker. For those who are not familiar, Graham & Walker, previously known as the Women Founders Alliance, is a venture firm supporting and investing in women in business for the benefit of humankind. And we at 100 Plus Accelerator are very proud and privileged to call them our partner. As for Divya, she's a seasoned marketing and brand strategist specialized in technology with deep expertise in startups and entrepreneurship. And when she's not supporting founders and growing Graham & Walker channels, Divya is a student of mindfulness and a Reiki practitioner. And as an immigrant and mother of 2 boys, she and her husband are determined to raise feminists, leading by example. So with that, Divya, the floor is yours. I think you're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. And hi, everyone. What an honor it is to be here today and share the stage with these incredible innovators. We'll continue the discussion today on water stewardship and learn a little more about the problems and solutions that these amazing women are working towards. I'd love to start introducing our panelists. So if you can turn on your cameras and get off mute, that would be great. All right, let's start. Hi, great to see everyone's faces again. I want to start with introducing Oriana. Oriana Brechker is the founder of AquaCycl. AquaCycl treats complex industrial wastewater through a bioelectrochemical treatment technology that uses naturally existing bacteria to treat wastewater that produces irrigation quality water with recovered electricity. We also have Olivia Cecile, who is the co-founder of Waterplan. Waterplan is a software platform that quantifies water risk and suggests mitigation strategies. Next, we have Emily Morris, the founder and CEO of Emergy. Emergy installs hydropower modular arrays into existing water infrastructure to create renewable energy. I also see Meena here. Meena Shankar is the founder and CEO of Ketos. Ketos is automation for water quality monitoring and testing. And finally, we have Dominica Freire, who is the founder of Ichthion, captures floating plastic pollution, restoring our rivers, oceans, and coastal areas while generating data. My God, this is all a mouthful, but really it's because you all are doing some really complex work. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to start by, my first question really is, I'm just going to open it up to all of you because everyone here needs to learn about your innovative company. So starting with Oriana. Oriana, can you tell us a little more about your startup and your water stewardship technology?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having us here today. So AquaCycl provides industrial wastewater treatment as a service. So we are primarily treating the really concentrated side streams that become very challenging for centralized treatment plants to handle. The innovation that we're bringing to the table is the fact that we've created a system that can use naturally existing bacteria that we source locally. And our systems create an environment for these bacteria to actually generate electricity as DC power at the same time that they're removing the organics from the water. And so we're excited to be working with enterprise clients and helping them save some money on their sewer bills, and also mitigating significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions because the organic isn't going down the drain to a conventional treatment plant, which emits a lot of greenhouse gases. So we like the tough stuff, and with Anheuser-Busch, that tough stuff is trube. And so that's the leftovers, everything but the beer that comes out of the fermentation process. And so we're very excited to be trialing with them and looking to improve water stewardship in general, making sure that the quality of the effluent is exactly the same or better than as it came in.
Thank you. Same question, Olivia.
Please let me know if you can hear me well.
Yep.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Olivia. It's a pleasure for me to share this moment with you in the context of World Water Day and Women's Rights Month. I'm the co-founder and COO at Waterplan. Our mission is to accelerate the transition to a water-secure world. And our software as a service platform makes water security easy by leveraging remote sensing technology, hydrological modeling, and local data collection to help our clients measure, respond, and report their water risk. If you're a water steward or a leader with a water target that you need to reach, Waterplan's all-in-one platform was designed to help you and your team succeed. Usually the clients we work with have publicly committed to goals like net zero positive, net zero. Maybe they're getting pressure to improve their CDP water score, or the company has pledged the CEO water mandate. Maybe they just recognize how critical water is to the very existence of their businesses, their customers, and their communities they operate in. And then they need help to getting started. And some of the conclusions that they simply need to invest in more replenishment projects to hit their committed goals. Maybe some of the interventions they funded didn't realize the benefits that they had hoped they would, or they are just having a hard time finding local partners in regions where they don't have a network. So we are here to save everyone's time. We want to reduce the complexity and facilitate efficient meetings between corporate funders who are looking for the right types of local interventions and high quality partners making an impact on the ground. And so we have been doing with many corporates around the world in very stressed, water stressed regions, and we're very happy to continue developing that. So thank you. Thank you, Vivian.
Let's go to Emily. Emily, tell us about your startup.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Morris. I am the founder and CEO of Emergy. It's a pleasure to be here today with all of you amazing women. At Emergy, we're focused at the heart of the energy water nexus, which is the concept that it takes a lot of energy to move, pump, treat water, as well as a lot of water to make energy and/or associated industrial processes that use a lot of energy. And what Emergy does is we focus on water infrastructure, which is both rural and urban, and focuses all throughout both our agricultural and municipal areas to supply water to citizens and to farmers. And we take that water infrastructure and we transform it into renewable energy projects. We do have unique technology that we use to do that, which is a very low impact water power system that can take what you might conventionally think of as hydropower and bring it to the distributed level in a way that doesn't require water infrastructure owners to build a dam to divert their water or otherwise impact how they're delivering it to cities and farms. But we also combine that with other types of renewable energy generation or delivery systems, including solar, energy storage, hydrogen, or other ancillary technologies. And we've long recognized the value of working with enterprise partners on this. There's a very serendipitous co-location, maybe not serendipitous since it's energy water nexus, but lots of data centers, industrial brewing or food production is all located around water infrastructure. So being able to use that very water that is supplying the brewery with its feedstock is also can be used for renewable energy. And so we have partnered with enterprises like AB InBev. We're thrilled to be part of the 100+. We're also participating in pilots with Xylem and have also developed a relationship with GE on the manufacturing side as well. And so being able to partner together with these large multinational companies helps us to elevate our presence in the market, helps us to supply high quality product, and helps us to get right to the heart of where emissions are, which is right at the source of consumption, rather than trying to do something far away and ultimately build a lot of transmission and distribution infrastructure to get there. I'll pause there. It's great to be with everyone today.
Thank you. Let's go to Mina. Mina, tell us a little bit about how your company is stewarding what solutions, what is your technology about?
Thank you, Divya. And grateful to have the opportunity to share a bit about our journey here as well. So Amina Sankaran, founder and CEO of Ketos, and we focus on delivering real-time water quality intelligence for really helping build sustainable and smarter as well as safer communities, farms, and industries. So if, alongside what Emily and Oriana shared, it's when you think of the life cycle of water, it's really important to understand what type of water composition is released back into the environment, and what are we discharging from the farms as well as the industries and some of the largest polluters that affect our community drinking water. So the water aspect is just so interconnected between the source of how Emily works to the treatment side of how Oriana solution works. And so what Ketos lands up doing is we're a robotic system that provides a very unique manner of detecting contamination for a wide variety of constituents, more than 36 in today's day and age, which is very unique in being able to understand arsenic or mercury or health risks due to zinc and nickel. Neighboring decommissioned mining sites or Superfund sites that otherwise would have not been known until you had a Flint disaster or another disaster that potentially could have occurred, which we were not aware of. So I think having access to proactive, intelligent, on-site data could really help make decisions much more faster, both from a health perspective, but also in our core operations, so that we're, individuals as well as industries can be more compliant with what they're doing in their core operations, but also from an environment perspective. So we're really excited to work with, Colgate as part of the 100+ Accelerator, especially with their healthcare products and all of the major consumer goods that they're responsible for in their manufacturing plants, and really helping them be more efficient in their treatment and their chemical dosing and use of all the nutrients as well as other supplies that they would be required to manufacture some of the products. We're happy to share more, and it's been an amazing journey, just making a dent in the surface of what's really required in terms of understanding water quality in real time.
Thank you. Dominica, let's hear about your startup.
Sure. Thank you so much for the introduction, Divya. It's really an honor for me to be here, joined by this wonderful woman. Well, as you know, I'm a commercial director at Ichthion, and I'm basically in charge of developing strategy and commercializing our portfolio of projects to different key actors in the business, and also promote a sustainable solution to plastic pollution. Ichthion is a clean tech that develops disruptive technologies to stop the flow of plastics entering the ocean, and we offer an integral solution that seeks for a system change through 3 products with a circular approach. The first and the most important one is our Assured technology, which is a system that can be installed in rivers to collect plastic waste. Our technology is designed to extract up to 80 tons of plastic per day, filtering up to 80% of the flow of plastics traveling by the rivers, and allowing also the aquatic life to continue its course. The system consists of a floating barrier that is made to retain and direct the waste collected to one side of the river. And then it's also the conveyor belt for extracting the material collected to and finally, the generation of data using AI that provides inputs for policy making. But as we know, the stop of the flow is not the only solution. That is why we have created Galapaxi. Galapaxi is an eco brand that promotes responsible consumption through giving an alternative to single-use plastics with reusable bottles and a free water refill and advertising stations, by proposing a scheme of consuming only water and not necessarily buying plastic. This founds the installation of more extraction systems, the Assured system I was telling you. Our water stations provide purified, refrigerated, filtered water to people for free. And the interesting thing is that they also provide a space for sponsors and supporters to communicate their sustainable brand values, and also invite customers to make a real and immediate change in the fight against plastic pollution. Another interesting fact is that each Galapaxi station can avoid the consumption of 60,000 bottles per year. And that's an equivalent to a reduction of at least 7.2 tons of CO2.
Thank you. Some of you already touched on this, so I'll sort of open it up if who wants to go first and answer. But I'd love to hear how you are working with companies to create and implement practices for a more water secure world. If you want to give an example of a particular partnership, that would be helpful as well. So I don't know if Oriana, do you want to take this?
Sure, happy to. So we love working with our enterprise clients who have very ambitious sustainability goals and helping them address scope 1, 2, 3. So our longest running relationship so far is with PepsiCo. We've had a system operating at one of their facilities now for just over 2 years. First year as a pilot and second year as a commercial fee-for-service contract. And so their goals obviously are also, in addition to meeting their carbon reduction targets, is to also save a little bit of money. And so that's one of the big takeaways that we've had is making sure that we can provide a very useful service in terms of value, in addition to ensuring those sustainability goals are met, either in carbon or in water. So it's been a lot of fun.
Emily, do you want to add to that?
Sure. And I would say Emergy is on the front end of really developing corporate commercial relationships. Our longest enterprise relationship has been with GE, yet the relationship has really been more of a partnership related to manufacturing as well as to ultimately global marketing and sales efforts together in a joint fashion. And what has been really critical and catalytic for Emergy as a small and growing startup is the ability to have large, corporate shoulders that have breadth far beyond what our small company can have toward the market and toward manufacturing. As some of my other counterparts on this panel know, hardware is hard, and being able to grow from prototype to quality assured equipment that can be accepted in especially a very regulated space like water can take quite a bit of money and quite a bit of time to do. And so partnering with large corporate partners that can help us understand those multinational regulations and how to ensure that our system will be well accepted has been super valuable for us at Emergy. Looking out to the commercial relationships, though, as I mentioned before, whether it's a data center, whether it's a brewery, whether it's a food processing plant, there is quite a bit of need for both water intake and water discharge to make industrial processes work. And often those are less regulated on water infrastructure than they are on natural rivers and streams. And so it's a really nice co-location for Emergy as we look to transform that water infrastructure into renewable energy projects, enables us to do quick project deployment so that we're not trying to disrupt or otherwise change natural ecosystems, but really are working in a brownfield environment to be able to get to emissions right there locally.
Got it. I'm going to ask the same question to Olivia, and then I'm going to change it up a little. So Olivia, tell us a little bit about how you work with multinational companies to create a more water secure world.
Totally, thank you. We have been working the last 2 years with more than 40 Fortune 100 companies that are very water intensive. It's been a short but very intense journey. And what we have found during these years is that every typical company that is water intensive goes through like 4 steps. And that's what I want to share today as a finding of this experience. Like first, they need to monitor the dynamic risk in the catchments that they operate, in the water catchments. With Waterplan, what we do is that our multinational clients can see what types of risk is more prevalent for them. So flood, water scarcity, water quality, or reputational risk. The second thing that we see is that they need to measure how the dynamic risk in the catchments relates to their production sites or facilities. And third, they respond with actions that can reduce that risk and increase long-term business resiliency. And what we do is helping the users of our platform make informed, data-driven decisions about the catchment they operate in and what type of intervention would make the biggest impact on the specific challenges within the catchment. And we help our clients track the progress of their inside the fence interventions, like, for example, water efficiency initiatives, or outside the fence activities like nature-based solutions, for example. And last but not least, our clients also need to report, like internally or externally. So at the click of a button in our platform, our clients can download a report to support the internal or external communication efforts. And some of our clients also share a platform with their communications team, for example, so that when it comes to creating the annual sustainability report, for example, all of the information is centralized. And so that's the way that we have been collaborating with different multinational companies. And as Emily mentioned, it's different industries like food and beverage, consumer goods, data centers. And well, we keep developing and working on collaborating together with them. So yeah, thank you.
There's a question here that's come from the chat that I think is super interesting. And I'll let you take this if you'd like. What are the main challenges in the water industry that you have repeatedly faced as you scaled your business?
Yeah, thank you for that, Divya. I think they're multifold, especially, one comment that Emily made, that hardware is hard, is so real. I think that's a big start to the process, because traditionally, as a sector, water sector, for several reasons, is conservative in how it adopts new technology. And so when you layer on a hardware piece and not a pure software solution, you're adding another layer of complexity to their adoption cycle, because it's how you're building that credibility and trust into their operational cycle, and not just from a tech perspective, but also the workforce that is used to a certain way of operating for decades. So I think that's one of the first blockers that you have to kind of overcome. So establishing a paramount amount of trust. And I think for Ketos, we've been able to do that purely using data. You have to let the data speak for itself. You have to use your customer experience, customer success, and the facts of how your deployments are creating value speak for itself, because without that, you're going to be one of those lone wolves, kind of battling it, but really trying to have a very deep uphill. In Ketos' scenario, we monitor about 29 billion gallons of water as of today, and we've generated roughly around 240 million data insights. And so that's created enough amount of third-party verification, validation, benchmarking across industrial sites like mining and oil and gas and manufacturing and food processing and poultry and others, and as well as farming. So I think what lands up happening also is, as you enter into the water sector, people want to know who else is using it. They do not want to be the trailblazers. They want to have a lot of proven validation also within their own sector, not just parallel sectors. So I think that's your second blocker of who else is using it and being able to showcase that. So not only having proof point and data that your solution works, and it really works well for what they expect it to be used. But second is who else is using it and having that level of validation within the sector. And I think the third part is, if you can survive getting through 1 and 2, is having the funding enough from a diverse set of sources to be able to get to your product market fit, so then you have repeatability. I think achieving the maturity of being able to do all these three while surviving a very atypical or unorthodox way of operating in a water sector compared to the bar that you need for a healthcare or other sector, I think by itself puts the water entrepreneurs and the water founders up on a different type of, museum that we need to have for ourselves compared to, the other entrepreneurs that are out there, fighting the good fight.
That was a really tight answer there. I think you covered everything, but I'd love to throw it out to all of you, Dominica or Emily. If anyone else wants to pipe in on this, what are some of the challenges that you feel you have faced while scaling your business, specifically in this industry?
Mina said it beautifully. All of the factors that she's highlighted contribute to a long sales cycle. And so, not only as technology adoption and risk, and reference points, all of those things have to be taken under consideration very carefully. But you also have to develop very strong relationships across all of the different people and stakeholders within an enterprise, client or even municipality or whoever it is that you're selling into. There's at least 15 people that have to say yes on these larger deals. And so it's important that, you really understand the problem, that you can very clearly show the value to all of the different key stakeholders within the deal. And that takes time. And I don't know that that's completely unique to water, but it is another element, another layer of the onion.
All right. I know that we have 10 minutes left, and I do want to be able to talk about the role of women in this industry. So I'll start with you, Dominica. What role do you see for women in driving innovation and change in the water sector?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I would like to start saying that here at Ichthion, we believe that the example has to be set within the company, and that is precisely what we're doing in terms of equity. It is gratifying for us to mention that in our company, 55.5% of our team members are actually women. And that is because we believe in the individual capacities of each person, no matter their gender. Not one of our collaborators are chosen because either they're men or women, even though the tech industry and the water sector has been taken mostly by men. I would like to share with you a recent study from the World Bank fact that highlights that in the water sector, less than 1 in 5 workers are women. That is why we also believe that equity is not only having a certain number of women hired in a company, but to give them the opportunity to have decision-making roles. At Ichthion, our CTO is an incredible young woman that is in charge of the biggest team in the company, as well as our field chief that manages our share system at the Puerto Viejo River. And of course, our CEO, she's a great businesswoman that is also a mother of 2 children and somehow manages to have enough time to take care of all of her responsibilities. And what I really mean by this is that every woman is capable of pursuing their dreams. Every woman has the capacity of being anything we want to be, but it is also very important to have an environment that gives us fair opportunities and chances to make that true. It is, for me, also very crucial to have a network, a forum, or a platform, just like this wonderful initiative driven by 100 Pass and Graham and Walker, for regular exchange, mutual support, and really just reassurance between women in industries that stand out as just men's sectors. And I would also like to share another World Bank fact that shows that in an evaluation of 122 projects, found that water projects that included women were 6 to 7 times more effective than those who did not. The thing is that as women often have a strong ability to think with impact in mind. And we see how decisions affect the world in a holistic way and approach solutions, I think, with a very unique vision.
Thank you. Thank you. Great point there on role modeling. I think starting with the company itself. Emily, just to sort of add to that, how do you think we can create more opportunities for women to participate and lead in the space of the water sector?
Yeah, absolutely. And amazing facts there. I think one of the things I just picked up from Domenica is really the competitive advantage that women can represent when the data shows that a project is 6 to 7 times more effective. And really highlighting, honoring, and trying to amplify that competitive advantage is something that all of us as leaders need to be doing more within our organization, especially, I certainly take that from this conversation. As Eleanor mentioned in her talk, 90% of climate crises are water crises. And so for a company like Emergy that's squarely in the climate space as well, one way that I could recommend, opening more opportunities for women, and also for people that may be looking to get into the water space. Climate is obviously, there's never been more momentum, more funding, more political tailwinds toward climate action, climate organizations, climate startups like Emergy. And so whether you are interested in water directly or interested in affecting water via, coming in potentially even through climate because of an adjacent industry that is so intertwined with water, could be one way to get more involved more quickly. I know a lot of companies in the climate space are growing rapidly. We grew in size from 18 people starting in 2022 to now 45. And have been growing so rapidly with, and I know a lot of climate companies that one good way to get involved in water is also to get involved in climate, because so much of climate cannot be separated from the challenges that we see in water. I'll pause there and let one of the other ladies jump in.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Olivia or Mina?
Yeah, I had a quick comment. I was going to say that, water has a very special relationship with women. I think that fundamentally women are stronger, empathetic leaders. It just comes to us naturally. And Divya, I heard in your bio that you're a Reiki practitioner. And for me, everything about, I'm a Reiki practitioner myself. And for me, water is all about energy, right? And so women tend to be more sensitive and intuitive to that energy. And I think that draws the passion naturally into the kind of decisions we make, the culture we create, and the people we surround ourselves. And I think that if you take that energy and streamline that into your core purpose of making an impact in water, I think the company as a whole just becomes such a stronger unit in functioning as a force of nature to really make the kind of impact that we all want to make. And so rest assured, the technologies that we all do for different purposes to solve different pieces lands up just being an icing on the cake. So as I think one of the biggest things we can do is have more platforms where women leaders are actually talking about making water sexy, making water more powerful, and not just water being considered as a nonprofit or a research aspect, and really reminding the youth and the women and the girls of today that water can be as much a massively commercially lucrative business as much as a social impact that's driving good. So how would you feel that you could make enough money to go drive your Ferrari while actually helping a bunch of villages who are not going to have to walk 10 kilometers to go? And I think that sense of separation, of decoupling, of you can't really kind of gain the revenue unless you become a hedge fund manager in New York or go do something in regenerative AI is really a myth. And I think we have to break that myth as successful women leaders coming out of the helm and really pulling all the youth together and saying, what are you going to do in the water sector? Because here's a golden opportunity sitting in front of you, because other sectors are innovated faster, but here's something that can come along and you can be part of that massive change. And I think really doing more of that, and 100 Plus is doing a fantastic job pulling us all together. I just think we need a lot more of that and a lot more cognitive diversity to pull the youth into this discussion. I get carried away, but I'll pause.
Yeah. Oh, Mina, I absolutely love that. A lot of this just resonates with me personally, and I think it is also with Graham and Walker. It is our mission to sort of, tell and create that platform for women to, showcase that. First of all, impact doesn't need to mean nonprofit. Like I can go on for hours on this, right? Like this is not true. You can make a lot of money, but doing a lot of good, and that needs to be said out more often. And I love the emphasis on that. I know we have like 1 minute left, so I want to, make sure Olivia or Ariana, if you have anything to say on this, like pipe in. I want to hear it, and then we can wrap. What advice would you give women interested in getting into water?
Olivia, go
I
ahead.
super quick. Thank you. And yes, like the only thing that I would add here is that as a startup, right, from the climate tech sector specialized in water, what I would say is I have heard many times, like, how can I get into climate tech? How can I start my journey in water, right? I'm an industrial engineer and I have always worked in traditional tech. So this is my first experience, right, in water. And what I have seen that they consider that is extremely important here is, of course, like developing the network, having mentors, etc. But it's also considering to join early stage startups, because when you're early stage as a startup, you need generalists. You're not looking into super specialist people, right? So soft skills, for example, that women have a lot, are very valued. So that is a very good opportunity. Maybe joining a later stage company that needs more specialization is not the best opportunity when you're switching your career into this sector. So I would say that, like, being fearless, a little bit less risk averse, and join early stage startups is a good opportunity to make that jump into the sector. So that's what I wanted to share today. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, Ariana, anything to close?
Start them young. Get out there and engage younger women in their earlier parts of their career before they even necessarily have a trajectory yet. The National Science Foundation has reported that if girls aren't interested in science, technology, engineering, and math by junior high, we're probably going to lose them. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do more of at AquaCycle, as my whole C-suite are women, is to get out and do more outreach in classrooms and make ladies aware of the opportunities in water. There's some really amazing jobs, lots of different career paths, and it's never going away. And so, it's something that I never considered as a youngster, but I think if we can raise more awareness and get them young.
I love that. Okay, so if there's one thing you take away from this, water can be sexy, super lucrative, a lot of money, more girls. We need more girls in it. That's what I'm taking away. Well, thank you so much, ladies. This was incredible. Daniela, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Thank you so much, Divya. We know our time today is up, but on behalf of the 100 Plus Accelerator, we would like to thank our keynote speakers, Eleanor and Maria Clara, for their time and insightful presentations today, to our amazing and inspiring women founders who will feel so proud to be able to know and to work with. Thank you so much for joining us today. To Graham and Walker for their support, and of course to our audience for joining us to celebrate Women's Month and World Water Week. And we hope to see you again in future opportunities. So thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.